Welcome back, guys, to another incredible episode of the Salt Podcast. We're in for a treat because today's a bonus episode, and the real spirit behind this, if this is your first episode, welcome. We usually talk about creativity and leadership, technology, communications, art in the church, all those things. And today we're going to kind of take a little bit of a break, do a little bit of a different model. I don't have KP or Caitlin by my side, but I've got these two guys. I'll introduce them in just a second. But we started talking about there's been so much stuff that has come out recently for the church tech world or tech in general when it relates to event production, lighting, audio, video, and InfoComm happened a couple weeks ago. And we just thought, let's get around a table. Let's have a conversation about some of the new stuff, whether it relates to you or not. This is hopefully going to be an incredible conversation. Here's my little side note before we dive in. This is not about us trying to stoke envy within you. That is one of the deadly sins, and we don't want to do that. But what we do want to do is we want to talk about the things that matter to us, exciting things that are happening in our field, because I do think everybody in the SALT community should have a pulse on what's next. Whether or not it's what you can use or what you don't have the ability to sort of afford, or your team is never going to go into that technology, I think sometimes broadening our horizons and having awareness of the thing that sort of can help our industry does help us make our job better, and it maybe helps us find a new pathway to do what we have access to in a more efficient, effective, or better manner. So that is why we're doing this. So hopefully you'll gain some sort of wisdom or knowledge. I think part of this is all like a, hey, did you see this? Hey, did you check us out? So that may be the premise of this episode. I have two new guests here. I want to introduce them. On my left, your right, I've got John Mark Clark. Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
It's a pleasure.
And then I have on my right, Davi Lema. Welcome.
Hola.
So many of you don't know this, or some of you have heard me say this if you've had a conversation. I don't know if I've ever said this 100% publicly, but SALT Conference is like a nonprofit that exists within the context of a much bigger organization. And that organization is Orange Thread Live. So if there's any sponsor of this episode, it may be Orange Thread Live, which really is sponsoring all of SALT all the time. They just never get any of the credit. So thank you all for doing that. But these two amazing humans work at Orange Thread Live. They're two.
I did find out about Orange Thread through SALT.
Okay, so Orange Thread somewhat benefited is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. And I actually
as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I think most of the production managers have come through SALT.
in one way or shape or form.
So
It's
if
like
you're looking for a
testing.
job, come find Luke in.
We'd love to talk. Yeah. But you guys are production managers. You are advancing and getting ahead of drawings and details, layouts, the technical engineering of shows that happen in a sort of remote or pop-up manner all the time, right? As a company, we did 200-ish shows last year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are doing a lot.
Yeah.
But you both worked in churches. I want you to give just a real quick glimpse of kind of your church background and kind of that, and then we'll dive into some stuff we've learned. John?
Yeah. I was doing church as a production manager, technical director for about 10 years in Central Kentucky. And then now I work as a volunteer. So kind of switch sides. I get to work with the
You
team.
get to be the guy that gets to decline Planning Center now.
Yes. I still get the text messages on the side. Why did you decline that?
Yeah.
I'm like, let me go fix it.
That is the power of knowledge right there. The power that you can decline.
Yes.
When you work for a church, it's like, it's always green.
Yeah.
It's always green. It's always green. Yep. Occasionally I have red ones now. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I love it. Where do you mostly volunteer?
I mostly volunteer as a service director.
Okay.
So I'm the guy who's calling audio, video, lighting cues for our satellite campus. I go to Cross Point here in Nashville.
Multi-campus?
We're a multi-campus site. We have 5 campuses now, and then I'm just at the local one in my town, and so it's great. So I get to do all the cool stuff at the main campus where we have a full broadcast system, and then we're slowly rolling broadcast systems out to the satellite campuses.
I love it. Davi, how about yourself?
I am Davi, and I am a pastor's kid. Meaning,
This could become a therapy session.
yes, this is 100% a therapy session. I've been in church my whole life, from church startups in my own house to mega churches, and I've done a lot. Worked at North Point for a good stint as a lighting director at Brownsbridge, one of the main campuses, or not the main campus, but one of the bigger campuses. And I've done production director roles at some other campuses or at some other churches, but got my feet wet in tech, volunteering at my local church because my dad goes, you're going to serve. And so you're going to serve on Sunday morning at a mobile campus. So at 5 a.m, they come pick me up with a full trailer.
Doing the whole setup and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's dedication there.
well, the good news is the campus pastor would come with a big thermostat of Cuban coffee. And so he knew that was the only way.
He's given us Cuban coffee, and he only gives them to us in these like tiny little shot glasses.
There's
He
a
has
reason
a
for that.
thermos.
There's a reason for that.
He's spreading it out with all the volunteers.
Oh,
We're not just
It's like downing your
Context. These are like miniature
High octane.
communion
Yeah.
cups
Yes.
that you would fill up.
Yeah, great.
with
I
Cuban
said shot
coffee.
glass. You said communion. Thank you for over churching me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing it for I think 17 years.
That's
I
amazing.
started like in middle school. It's crazy.
Is it a prerequisite to work at this company that you know how to load a church trailer, so that when you load a semi or a box truck, you're a little bit more prepared to?
I
No,
feel
there's still
like-
some more room in there. We've
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel like you
100%.
need to at least have loaded some sort of tour trailer or something.
Yeah.
Even if a tour just stopped.
You
at
don't
your
know what
church.
life is until you've loaded a kids ministry trailer with all the playpens and foam noodles.
You look at our stagehands now, and you're like, nope, there's more room in that truck
Correct.
right now.
We could fit another black and yellow toad up there.
Yeah.
All right, so we're obviously getting together. The reason for this is we have conversations on people's couches. We have conversations in break rooms, and we talk about, oh, did you see this? Hey, did you guys see this come out? And so I just was like, hey, pause. Let's go in the studio and let's go do this real quick. And real quick in my mind usually expands into a big production. So I appreciate you guys joining this. But who wants to go first? What have y'all seen?
I'll go first, and I'll preface this with when I worked for a church and being able to go to InfoComm was awesome, but it's also like going to Toys R Us with no money. It's like all these cool toys, and you're like, I have no
It's a
money for
great
this.
way to describe that.
So I understand that, like, if you're a small church going to these type of conventions and shows is really useful to see what's coming through the pipeline, but it's also, like you said, it's kind of an envy of like, well, I'll never afford that, but the technology will filter down. I have noticed that things coming from the top usually filter down.
Yeah.
And it usually helps out the lower sides. That being said, I think the biggest thing everyone's talking about is AI and how it's being used in our world. And our good friends at L Acoustics have come up with a new product that is pretty it's quote, it's voodoo in a box.
I was going to say, when I heard about this, you're talking about the Elisa agentic AI stuff that they're kind of rolling out.
Yeah, they're calling it source intelligence.
Source intelligence.
And
And I remember I even came to one of y'all and I was like, I don't understand. Like, can someone explain this to me? Because my brain can't compute how this is possible.
first and foremost, I'm a lighting guy, so this is going to be real fun talking about an audio product. But from what I've read and from what I've been told from people that are using it, it is basically a AI engine that is cleaning up the source audio, so only the source audio comes through. It's not part of Lisa. It is using the Lisa processor.
So you have to have Elisa.
So you have to have, no, it's a separate unit.
Oh.
You don't have to have Lisa to have it. It's using the same chip.
Got it.
It's kind of like an Apple product. Same
So is this
chip.
like those old school feedback buster boxes that we used to run into?
So yes, this is the modern day
It's like a rack mounted.
rack mounted. It does require a different license. Everybody loves subscription and different licensing.
Do we love those?
No,
Let's
we
just say
don't.
that. Do we love
No.
those?
No,
But it is in
necessary
that
evil.
there's a lot of things coming out for defeedbacking, cleaning up sources.
So what does this do practically? Give us kind of a breakdown.
I was actually talking to my good friend Luke, he's been kind of heading up the project at North Point. North Point is one of the first.
Oh, they're deployed it already?
Yes, they have
Wow.
deployed it in their main room at North Point, and had good insight. And he was saying that basically he can put it on with his scraggly beard, and once he turns that on, it eliminates all the beard noises and it is straight
Crazy.
vocal. A lot of the tour, there's a couple tours that have it out, and the same thing. It's eliminating all the noise and background of what a loud environment could be, and just giving you a clean studio quality voice.
So basically like what we're seeing with all like the Adobe podcast cleanup,
Yeah.
but in real time.
Yes,
Yeah.
through a main PA.
Yeah. So it's taking everything that's not human generated noise intentionally
Yes,
and stripping it out.
from what I can understand.
That's
Yeah.
nuts. This actually reminds me of something we rolled out. One of our crew members at a recent show. We were doing a show for like 6,000 people for a luncheon. Huge ballroom or a huge convention center hall, and there's this product called D Feedback V1 by Alpha Labs.
Yep.
Here, let me show you this real quick. D Feedback V1 is by Alpha Labs. By the way, this video is hysterical. I don't trust it. It's like almost too good, and so they take this like really reverberated thing, and then he like quote turns on the plug-in from the stage, and then
I
it,
gotta
like,
admit
gets-
though, it was a little bit like that when we did
yeah.
it
So
in
we
this
just
room.
did it. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
So the room was probably about 600 feet deep, about 200 feet wide, giant convention hall. So a wonderful space to try mixing in because it's just
Yeah.
concrete everywhere. So not unlike the cathedral in this video. But I was a little skeptical. I was like, all right, I've seen stuff. I'm not sure. We'll see what it is. And then I was like, I'm going to turn my back. Don't show me when you turn it on, turn it off. And then I was like, sometimes A/B, you can't really tell when you're like, oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
This actually sounded
Richard
phenomenal.
came up to me, our front of house guy, and he said, Luke, when I turn this on, I can clearly get a good 15 dB on a headset DPA mic.
Yes.
In a room of this much concrete.
It was amazing.
With nobody in it. So you didn't have all the
Yeah.
warm bodies like
Is this using AI? Is that how it's
Yeah, I
figuring
think
this
so.
out?
So it takes an RTA mic, any RTA mic. It goes in and it's essentially watching all the waveforms. And I think it's trying to, in zero latency, basically catch any sort of feedback or reverb or something that is not human driven. Maybe not as smart as the acoustics, because I think the acoustics can have a way more broad spectrum to sort of pull data from. But this is essentially running on like a laptop with like a simple Focusrite.
Yeah, we just had a laptop at front of house.
It was not that, hardware intrusive.
Yeah.
And that's what made it. So it's $500. You guys can take a look at that. But yeah, it's crazy sort of some of this technology.
I'm going to put a footnote here for all the audio engineers. This does not eliminate good fundamental practice of how to EQ your microphone. This is not a magical wand.
No.
Get your gain structure set.
Get your gain structure.
But hopefully it can be a little bit better for those who just, that speaker or that pastor just doesn't want to speak. You and I had several years ago a communicator that refused to sound check.
Yep.
He spoke so quiet. He only wanted a lapel, and he would put it like halfway down his shirt. And you and I could never get it loud enough.
The application, honestly, this would work in your small to mid-sized churches that were originally designed to be used without amplification. So if you think of your church, if you guys have like one of those domes over your stage that was designed to amplify into the room, naturally, they don't work well with microphones. And so especially with like a podium mic or lav mic, this would be a great application to clean that up.
100%. All right, what else? What else have y'all seen that's been kind of cool?
I saw something from PTZ Optics,
Yeah.
which they're kind of like, in my mind, they're the black magic of the PTZ world because they're kind of rebels.
Now, some people on here are going to like that.
They are. I don't know. Yeah, there's
What are both sides of that? What does that mean?
there's two sides of that coin.
Yes.
For a long time, PTZ Optics, like their cameras, they weren't great, but they've kind of matured. They've grown up. They have some commercial line versions now. But this part that I saw that really kind of jumped out to me was that they're launching a like no license software backend that does tracking, network controls. You can do onboard color correction for like cinema setups. And so for basically like the equivalent of that in like Panasonic or some of the Canon, you have to license tracking like per camera. You have to have a server on site. This is all just running on your computer.
Yeah, I think one of the things I saw reading about is it the Horizons platform?
That's the one.
Launched?
Yep.
They're really trying to build like a platform far more than just a camera.
Oh,
the
yeah.
camera's kind of like the end.
It's one part of the
Piece of it,
entire
yeah.
system. So
Yeah, and they were also rolling out, I think it was PTZ Optics that rolled out like you can basically use your voice or in like a chat to kind of help direct, either tied into comm. You want to talk a little bit about that?
well, the part that I saw in there that I thought was cool is once you set up your scene. So for example, we're in a studio here.
Yeah.
You can have your camera and do a 2-camera setup, and you can point out the individuals, and then it's smart enough to know who's talking on the mic, where to adjust your
It's
tight
using
follow.
voice recognition. Yeah.
Correct. So you can have your wide shot camera, and then you have your tight follow. I'm talking, it'll automatically come over to me.
I actually think I was looking at one of those product videos on it.
Mhm.
I think it actually is smart enough to cut to a wide and then transition to a tight. Like it knows to go from my tight to a wide as a transition shot to the tight to the next person
nuts.
talking, which is nuts.
Well, and I know we were talking about this. This all has been kind of in the 4K system, but really Horizons is making it so that all of their PTZs.
All of them, even ones like if you bought one a couple of years ago, it applies to all of them now.
That's
So
crazy.
That's
why I'm like,
shout out to the one man tech team that are camera switching, audio mixing, running lights, and also running the microphone up to the stage because the pastor forgot his mic.
mm-hmm. So, and then another part that they were looking in, which I think I was talking to you earlier about, they're integrating it with Polymotion
Yeah.
and that whole chat system.
I don't know if anybody who's listening to this or watching this has kind of checked this out, but Prestonwood recently moved to like all robotics, and that was partly so that they had a better control system downstairs for broadcast and all that, but they also wanted to take humans out of like and put cameras in far more places where they couldn't put humans. And Brian Bailey was so kind a couple years ago, gave me a huge behind the scenes sort of tour of all this, and it's incredible. But yeah, they use the Mark Roberts motion control, so MRMC.
Mm-hmm.
MRMC, let me see if I can open this up for us. MRMC via Polymotion Chat has essentially connected with this whole PTZ optics and Horizon stuff. So what's interesting is this is kind of, and this may be really outside of the realm of what most churches would be using. But what's interesting is, again, knowing that this technology exists, to your point, it's going to probably eventually trickle down. Very cool to realize, oh, I could go use a true PTZ camera, but then I can also go use one of these manually controlled, MRMC controllers. And with a Polymotion Chat, it all connects together so that it's all essentially cohesive.
I'm just thinking of these, smaller tech teams. Even like my campus that I'm at right now, there's 3 of us. I have an audio engineer, graphics person, lighting person, and then I direct. Like, we're a satellite campus. Just to be able to pop in a PTZ camera at the back of the room and let it track our speakers on stage during those moments and pump it to the lobby. Like, we don't have any more people or space. Like, our booth is so small. There's not space to add a camera operator and a video director, you know?
Yeah.
This would be a great application for that.
Well,
so.
you guys were advocating so hard for the last 2 or 3 years for us to invest into PTZs here at Orange Thread.
Yeah.
And I was so against it, mostly because I always looked at it as like, oh, it's a robotic. I just hate the way that it moves, and it just feels so like, but also I felt like it always looked like security cams. You guys want to talk a little bit about like how you got me to finally get over that hump?
I think
we just kept renting them over and over and over again.
Yeah. I think it's come a long way in recent years. And I think for us, especially in the events we do, more often than not, like most small churches, there's not enough space to put a broadcast camera. So what the PTZ offers us is space saving. It's
real common. We'll put a PTZ right next to a manned camera. The manned camera will be the tight follow.
Correct.
The PTZ will be a little bit more of a wide.
Yeah.
And your director still has the ability to like, that light is actually creating a flare. I can zoom in a hair, or I can pan it.
Yeah, and it also just allows us to place the PTZ in places that we normally couldn't. So like we've done some PTZs right on the downstage edge on a low tripod, just aiming up so we can get those shots and cross shots. Especially sometimes we do have bands and we can get that cross stage shot to a musician real cleanly.
Placement's great. The big part that's really pushed forward, because PTZs did come out of the security camera world. Like, that's where they originated in that kind of thing, other than like the major.
See, so I wasn't
cameras.
wrong.
You weren't wrong.
It was
you weren't
security
wrong.
cameras.
But what they've done is like the sensors inside the newer Panasonic PTZs are the same as on their high-end ENG cameras. And so we're able to like color balance between them much better. The lenses are great. If you want to go with like that cinematic look, then you go with like the Sony PTZ. They've got a massive list of lens suite that can go with those and make it really nice.
Yeah, that was a fun AB when we had the PTZ up and our 6-figure broadcast camera up. And we told Luke, hey, can you spot the difference? And he was like,
as long as you don't move it.
Don't move it. I can't tell.
But if you remember, 2 years ago when Salt was in Dallas, we had all of our breakout rooms. We had PTZ cameras in those rooms. Canon helped us out there.
And that was one of the first like face tracking auto recognition. And our thing was it worked phenomenal as long as they stayed in the box.
Yeah. We had auto tracking in all the rooms. I was managing. It was really neat. We had my computer there and our tech ops, and I was able to monitor every single breakout room and watch all the cameras tracking everyone. And so it worked really well with rooms that had stages, rooms that didn't have stages that could mess up occasionally.
Broke a little bit.
Yeah.
So that explains why if you ever go look at a course that was shot 2 years ago in Dallas and there is nobody on screen, it's because
you can
John
yell
Mark
at me
was drinking coffee or going to eat another snack or something.
Yeah,
so.
But,
all right, anyway, I want to pivot off of. We'll stay in the video lane here. I want to actually talk about LED wall, which I know everybody has an LED wall now, and I think the LED wall technology has really come down. I've been pretty.
What Chinese brand have you picked?
Well, the one that I actually want to talk about is Row. So Row Visual, they actually came out with this. We got a preview. I think it was in December of last year that they were working on this, and it wasn't going to come out till InfoComm. But it's actually now out, so we can talk about this. This is, to me, again, a game changer. Let me show you all this. Row Vanish Air. So the biggest change here is, you guys know this blow-through LED, which is the stuff that allows like lights pan through it. Passion had blow-through. Is that correct? This last year in Dallas?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's transparent-ish, but obviously it's an LED wall, so it can't be fully transparent. What's amazing is, I think, what's the tightest pixel count or pixel pitch of like a blow through pre this? 5
Like
maybe?
5,
I saw
maybe
3.
3.
Yeah, but
3 is probably the tightest.
And 3's, I mean, you're probably more like a 3.9.
Right.
But
yeah,
I
because
mean,
you would just need the room to run the cables and all the blow throughs.
Brandon Lake, Phil Wickham's last set had blow
Mhm.
through. And so it's a really cool concept. But here's what's amazing. All of these blow throughs have a center spine. That's where the power supply is. That's where the brain is and the chips. And so it blocks so much. And when you put these up, it looks like this like big checkerboard of like, you can see the blow through. Vanish Air figured out how to build all of that into the frame. And to me, this is where there's such beauty. So this was them at InfoComm. And I'm just going to kind of talk over him. But like you can't even tell. And it's a 2.6 millimeter.
Gosh, it's so good.
Like
That's what
that
you
is
want.
such high quality. And as you can tell here, like in this video, like it just kind of disappears when it's black. But when it's white, it totally kind of,
There's so many creative ideas.
I mean, this is incredible here.
I think John Mark alluded to this, but we had seen a corporate show that we did not do, unfortunately, because it was awesome. But it was a corporate show in downtown New York, and it had a big LED front on
This
it.
is the DocuSign.
Yes,
Yes.
the DocuSign keynote. And we were watching this, and all of a sudden the windows just go dark, and there's content. And I think Luke and I about fell out of our chairs in his office
Texture mapping? What is
because
that?
we were trying to figure out the whole time, was it real or was it not? Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't figure it out. And we've come to find out it was the real Vanish, the old product.
Yeah.
Because then we did later go back and see all the power supply center spines. But can you imagine this show with this? Like, you wouldn't be able to tell the reality of there's a window behind here to it going to full content.
Yes.
And there's some, like John Mark said, there's some. This is not like an every Sunday kind of situation, but if you're trying to think of something creative for an Easter or a Christmas and try to create intentional moments, this could be just a huge, like, I'm not going to say
through like
Jesus coming out of the tomb level, but
Where's he going here?
the
I don't know.
illusion,
I'm
the
for the
illusion
ride.
can happen.
Well, and here I think there's another piece of this that kind of makes this aha to me. Like the wait what moment for me was when you started realizing how they've built this technology and how they now allow essentially sound to pass through. Because instead, I think if I'm not mistaken, it used to be kind of a grill technology. Now it's perforated. So you could put this right in front of a PA and it's not going to reflect so much backwards. It's not going to block so much. It literally has the ability to kind of have sound pass through it. So now, as the guy who's designing so many of our shows, and I get so frustrated with how awful our PA placement was, it's like now we can maybe do something to like cover that and clean that up.
Well, I'm also thinking as a lot of our new church architects are building worship centers with windows again. Like we kind of had this shit where like everyone would build the dark room because you got to fit the LED in there and it's got to disappear.
Or environmental protection only needed
Right, yeah.
no ambient light.
Now we're like shifting back to a little bit to where it's like, oh, the room is going to be all white. We're going to have windows outside. And, I've been to some churches recently where the entire back wall of their stage is just glass.
Yeah.
There's like a beautiful garden behind it. But imagine putting this product in front of that. So the moments where you wanted to shift, you could just shift and then suddenly there's a video image. And you can just shift right back. And what did you say it was like 92% transparent?
Yeah, 92% transparent.
Dude,
And they
that's
still
crazy.
have a backing wall. And I mean, it's also 3,000 nits, which I know that's going to get super technical, but like for those of you who are at SALT or have been at SALT for the last couple of years, that LED wall we've been using is more in like the 5,000 nits, but we've only been running it at like 15 to 20% brightness.
That's,
So
that's pretty
you have-
average.
You have no problem with 3,000 nits.
Right.
And it's going to be a rental product mostly. So churches don't need to go out and buy this, but I think you're going to start seeing your major rental providers out there that, will have this on. So
Don't ask if Orange Thread Lives have
we're
it
not
yet.
going to buy it yet.
We're
You know
not
what-
buying it yet.
You know where this would be really cool is if you had your like your pre-service lobby hosts out in the lobby, you could have an LED wall behind them, but then the people coming from the other direction could still see the entire setup because it's transparent. So
I'm
it's
not
like
tracking.
so a lot of times when you're doing your lobby hosts,
Welcome
Pre-service.
to what pitching a design to Luke is. I'm not
online
catching this.
online
Okay.
church people know this. You got your lobby people out there and they're talking with everybody. Where are you going to put your content at? What if you had a wall there that wasn't a wall from the other direction? So like it didn't look like it took up space in your lobby.
So from the people in the lobby watching this, they are actually seeing the
can't see
broadcast.
it.
They're seeing
Yeah.
content like the youth trip promo.
they could see
or
content,
whatnot.
or even if they're looking at the back of it, it'd be almost
Yeah, it's almost
transparent.
transparent,
So it
yeah.
doesn't feel like it's taking space.
Oh,
up in
I
the
see
lobby.
what you're saying. It is a virtual set.
It's a virtual
Yeah.
set. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's very cool. Anything else? Anything else really blow your mind? We probably have time for like one more.
One more. I mean, I have one I can sneak in.
Go for it. Oh,
I'm gonna
you can rock paper scissors.
I'm gonna tee him up for this one because it was one of my pet peeves as a production director of being in a well-sized room technically and not having appropriate comm, and it drove me up the wall because it felt like I was using tin cans and string.
What was that wireless comm we used to use that Telex had? It was awful.
It was an RTS. No, it was.
No, it was
I went to therapy and erased it from my memory.
Yeah. I mean, we were using these.
Never again.
These. I wish I would have had Hollyland. That's how bad it was. But I think Clearcom has been coming up with some cool stuff, and I think John Mark has some really good insight on it.
Yeah, and this is not. I wouldn't say it's like breaking this year. Like this came out a couple years ago, but the Agent IC from Clearcom is definitely starting to bridge some barriers that we used to have. So I think this came out in 2015, and it just kind of dwindled around. It was more in like the arena space or in news outlets. But then now that they've got it starting to tie into Arcadia and HelixNet and all of that, I see like some really cool applications whether you're doing multi-site or you tying in your online studio with your main studio, even kind of pushing the boundary like, hey, what if we had a missionary out in Zimbabwe? You know, our church sent a bunch of missionaries to Kenya a couple weeks ago.
So you can have a production guy on the ground via this app.
Yes, this app is really cool. All you need is a cellular connection, and you can tie in to your Clearcom system back at your campus. That way they could talk in. Let's say they connect the iPhone. We do a FaceTime call. Well, that's great for the video, but how are you going to tell your guy, hey, I need you to move the camera. We're going to go live in a few seconds. You know, can you get the guys, lined up? You could do all of that through this.
That's cool.
Both ways. So
yeah, I know North Point was actually kind of using it within the central team when they had to go troubleshoot at a campus on a Sunday. And obviously they're not going to have a wireless headset. And one day one of the guys' phone went off. I'm like, what the heck is that? He pulls it up. He's like, oh, they're trying to talk to me from master control. Hey, I'm right here. I'm like, stop. You just walkie-talkied? And they're like, no, it's comm. It's Clearcom. And sure enough, he showed me, and it has like channels, and you can talk. And they were talking to master control from their cell phone because they had the freedom and the responsibility to go to campuses and troubleshoot if there's a fire or like a problem on a Sunday morning, especially
Tying together
Yeah.
So they were able to walkie-talkie from master control.
And the nice part is with the Agent IC, you can license it for like a month. So say you're going to do something special, you need it for Easter and this, you can just license it for that. Get the users you need, buy the interface, tie right into your system.
I will say it does not replace TrueComm, but it is a tool that just allows us huge flexibility of, if you're doing like a one-off thing in the lobby and you don't have any access to wireless, that would be a great.
I mean, this kind of reminds me of like Unity Intercom.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a couple years ago? Hey, I hope you're enjoying this great conversation that Davi, John, Mark, and I are having. I just want to interrupt real quick and say, if you would love for someone to come alongside you and help with equipment rentals or events, or maybe even an upcoming event that you're doing, we would love to be a partner of yours. So go to orangethreadlive.com. You can see all of our information, fill out a form. We'd love to start talking. Now, back to that conversation.
Okay, so take a look at this. This is basically how it will work on your iPad too. So basically any device you want to convert into, you can pick all your channels. This video is a little bit old because it worked with the Eclipse system, but they've now broadened that out to Arcadia and Helix. And so I think it's just really neat that you can apply your channels on there, even like an IFB. I didn't even see that earlier, to set it up so your talent can have it. So going back to the idea of like, hey, what if we're remote in another country? Give your talent their phone. I've got my phone. We can both hear the director. We know where they're going to go. It's like, hey, I need you to slide over a little bit so we can catch a little more of the shot behind you. All these really cool things.
Because I think I saw that at InfoComm, they actually rolled out a like FreeSpeak cell, which would put like a SIM card in a FreeSpeak pack. So it's almost like they're taking what they've been doing on the IC platform and figured out how do you make that. Yeah, now, I don't know how that really relates to many in our church, but we were brainstorming earlier about this cell concept, and we were saying like, well, what if you had a person out in the lobby, like a producer that wanted to like walk in the lobby, and you didn't really want to have to cover it with all these antennas everywhere just for that one use case. You could just go buy them a cell-based pack and potentially use that basically in your broadcast environment.
Yeah. which is great because like they've expanded out. You have your FreeSpeak 2. Like we just got a bunch of the Icon packs.
Yeah.
They're great multi-channel growth. So we're seeing a lot of development. Like ClearComm, I feel like was stagnant for a while. And
Catching up, Riedel. Catching up.
They're starting to catch up. So I kind of feel like that's an exciting development there because they are very solid. Like there's between wireless and digital, especially their new IP-based systems that we're running now on shows, is incredibly clear audio, very fast. The range is still there. And then we've actually have setups now where I can be in one arena and another building, and I don't have to have a fiber connection.
Yeah.
I can just, through a public ISP, can push comm to the next building.
Hey, remember that time we ran a 2,500-foot fiber connection between two buildings?
And then forgot to take it down.
Forgot to take it down and went back a couple months later.
I think we went back almost a year later.
Yeah,
Still.
we had a client that asked us to basically do what Passion did years and years ago, where we connected these two venues that were what? How far?
It was like 2-3 blocks.
Yeah.
But I mean, we ran a fiber cable up in the rafters, and then we forgot to take it out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we forgot. You all intentionally didn't take it out, and you told me you forgot to take it out. All right,
I'm
moving on.
going to not comment on that.
Either way.
All right, I think we have time actually for one last little mic drop moment. I want to set this up. John Mark and I were kind of talking about this, but I want to get Davi's perspective on this
Davi,
too.
do not drop that mic. I need it next week.
So basically, in 2016 at SALT, we had a set design that included a ton of kinetic lights. We had all the triangles, if you guys both remember it. I think both of you were there or were around during some of that. John Mark and I were talking about this. There's actually a product, Nick, who one of the team of SALT kind of had told me about, Stage Precision. I want you to maybe give a little unpacking of this, but if you remember, Davi, you and I talked about this. The lighting team at SALT 2016, they really challenged with how hard that was to program because they were having to basically convert, kinetic lights that came down on winch motors to DMX levels, and they had to kind of like figure out using math. I mean, AI didn't exist, ChatGPT didn't exist, to like figure out sine waves of like how would they make this thing wave, and it just took so many hours to program. Maybe why we really haven't done kinetics a whole lot.
Still one of my favorite sets.
Yeah, but you want to talk about this and then
so like
commentary.
I wouldn't say I'm a full expert on this because I just discovered it, but what it has opened my eyes to is like, oh, there are other solutions out there. So some of you might be familiar with Touch Designer. This is a very much in the vein of Touch Designer where you can do automations and all that, but the user interface is way more approachable. Like I was looking at it this morning, I was like, okay, how do I take this to SALT this year? Because it is really cool. One of the nice parts about it is you can buy, their pricing structure is very flexible. So you can do a temporary several months, you can do a 1-year license, or you can do a perpetual license. So, for example, in your kids' space, let's say you have an interactive board where the kids are walking up. I think there's a section of this video where it shows interaction. That could be something you buy a perpetual license for. You have it set up. You put up a standard web camera, anything that's pushing a stream right into
recognizing it.
Yeah, like you go through. That was the cool part on this platform that I saw, is that you basically build out your space. Once your space is programmed into it, then you can go through and set up where your camera's going to be, where your scripting is going to be. Yeah, this is the part where I'm still like diving in on a little bit, and where it has, you can see the node base. That is very a Touch Designer vibe.
Yeah,
but it's a little more approachable. Like I feel like Touch Designer, at least for me, when I got on YouTube, I was just like, oh, I'm going to need an AI just to summarize what I watched.
Well, I remember doing an install at a previous SALT where we were trying to use Resolume with a Xbox Kinetic camera.
We had a track
and trying to track people, trying to affect some lighting. And I remember John Mark got frustrated and walked away, and I went back and tinkered and figured it out. And when he came back, he's like, "What the heck did you do?" And I was like,
Did you use a GoPro though?
No, it was a Xbox Kinetic.
Okay, right.
Yeah, but it was just it
was a GoPro.
It was?
I think we had to go to a GoPro.
We had to go to GoPro.
I don't remember. I just remember tinkering with it.
So that
But
story, real quick, just for those who are listening who may have been there, that was SALT 22, I think.
22.
Yeah, because 23 was our tenure. 22, we were at Long Hollow, and they had built a whole new hallway. And they had told us in all the lead up, oh yeah, this hallway will be open, it'll be ready. And like we come to load in and it was far from ready. And so we were like, can you be ready by Thursday
Yeah.
so we can open up this hallway?
This would probably be maybe like my top 10 tech fails.
Wait, why was it a tech fail?
Well, first of all, it didn't work when I wanted it to work.
Well, and then the church was like, "Yeah, there's no
eventually got
floor,
it
so
to
please
work.
don't let people walk there."
They put the floor down, but during the conference, a guy came back and took pieces of the floor up and put down adhesive, but didn't tell anybody. And so attendees were walking by and their shoes were getting stuck to the floor
And you
like
can
a
see
bug mat.
And you can see the adhesive footprints everywhere. And the church facility guy was livid. And we're just like,
I was like, I'm
We
sorry I
don't
put
know.
an art install down this hallway, but now that Davi fixed it, it looks
Thank you,
epic.
Long Hollow, for letting us totally destroy your construction plans.
but yeah, going back to this would make the world so
like,
much easier.
look
Because
at
I
this.
remember programming the kinetics for the cross moment. And that was just finding that,
Yeah,
fine tuning
he made this
that.
comment. He's like, "What if you said, here's the grid. I'm going to put a sphere and it's going to come down." It would
Mhm.
literally understand that whole sine wave of like all the DMX in it.
Yeah.
Well, in that specific moment, we were trying to make the cross out of those boxes.
Yeah.
And we had to line them up. And of course, the kinetic motors don't have the accuracy. And so they would just be off. And I would just remember Luke every time. And I'm like, I know, I'm trying to fix it. Hang on.
So this is
Because it was just, it was always
It
off.
was like a forced perspective thing.
Yeah, it was a forced
Yeah.
perspective.
this
thing,
is
but it
where
was
there's
always
so
off.
much power in the software is that it allows you to simulate all of this
That's
in
cool.
advance. So like the issues we were having with the cross or these other things, a lot of the art installs, creativity takes time. And when you have a load in and you have to be done in like 3 hours, you don't have time to research and development how to configure it. And so like, I don't know if you can see in this image here.
I feel like you just gave the best blanket excuse for why some of our art doesn't work. Because we don't ever have time. We show up on Tuesday and it has to work.
It
by
is
Wednesday.
it's a lot. But this one is using a 360 fisheye security camera in this example here.
And all it's doing is getting data.
Right. But the cool part is there's a column there. So like say I go to do the site visit on where we're going to hold SALT conference and I'm like, oh, let me just take a picture where these columns are. I can mock all this up in 3D and know, hey, we're going to have an issue here. We're going to have an issue here, even before we set foot
That's
on
cool.
the property. So that's really neat.
That's cool. Well, obviously, like this piece of technology, this may not be something that you guys can implement tomorrow or today or even in the next 6 to 9 months. But I think it's so good for us to have conversations like this and invite others in to say, are you aware of the advancements that are happening in your field? Whether you're a tech nerd, whether you're a worship leader, whether you're a creative leader, are you aware of the things that are pushing our industry forward? And how do we as the church not use it for the sake of marketing or gimmicky or sort of the wow factor, but how do we use it so that we can become better and more effective and more efficient in what we're doing? So I love that you called that out on the audio. Like this doesn't replace the fundamentals of audio, but these AI-driven feedback things do allow us to maybe focus on the art form of audio a little bit more than we're focusing on maybe the science side of audio. So super grateful for you guys to be there. If you guys are interested more in what we're doing here, you're welcome to go to orangethreadlive.com. It's also a great little reminder to kind of plug SALT conference tickets are available. We're going back to Dallas this year, so go to salt2026.com. You can get all the details. We would love to have you guys there. You'll probably see these guys around. Follow them on Instagram. You can see all the fun stuff we're doing. And if you haven't already, you can go to Orange Thread Live's YouTube channel. Take a look at that. Both these guys have shown up in recent videos or Instagram, stuff like that. So thanks for joining, guys.
This was fun.
Yeah,
This
thanks
was
for
fun.
having us.
So, and don't worry, neither of you are fired for anything you've said for this podcast episode. So we're good. Let the record be straight. If they get fired later, it has nothing to do with what they said on the podcast. But I think that's it. I think that's the pod.
Yeah, that is.
So I just want to know, do you guys have couches in your office?
Yeah, I feel like that's a sore subject.
Yeah.
In fairness, I don't have a couch in my office, so I'm just like you.
I do have one sitting chair for guests.
My couch was removed and given to another, so that's
look
true.
at that. See, look, servant leadership.
All
All right, with that, we'll see you guys next week.